Good evening. Welcome to Astrology Throwdown tonight, where we celebrate making it to another Friday. Every Friday, we can't believe it. But here we are, still fighting, still obsessing constantly over Napoleon. And now that obsession has transmuted into the is it possible Napoleon is among us? Every day I'm more convinced Napoleon is among us, and he is Elvis Costello, who I like to call Cohen, the King of America, and Napoleon Dynamite, because he is dynamite and he is Napoleon. How is this possible? But there it is. It's Napoleon. I don't know how to deny it anymore. Not that I ever wanted to. I wanted to be him. And he's about to kick off his tour. And that is so exciting and so frustrating for me because I am permanently quarantined. So if you are some kind of person who's allowed to continue to participate in this world under this dark occult left hand path theocracy that is pulling the strings on all of our governments, if you're someone who somehow got to the non quarantine state in this world of lies that they've created, congratulations. You can go to elviscostello.com and see him in concert. But if you're like me, someone who refused to participate in a medical experience that ended my mother's life, so I'm supposed to go do what my mother did and die like she did. So clearly, the Rico puppet master wants us dead. And he has all of his lies and publicists and all of his money and all of his bribery, blackmail, threats, seduction, all his tricks right up his sleeve to find ways to kill people and get away with it and make money at the same time. What an amazing career he has. So look at me. I'm permanently quarantined as a healthy person. I'm one of the few people who has been doing journalism over the last few years. Clearly, it's retaliation. Okay, and I had my numbers turned off. Clearly is retaliation. And I had my Wikipedia taken down. Clearly is retaliation. All of this retaliation because I refuse to support the fake populist movement that they've been creating around Donald Trump. They came to me. They said, "This is it. This is the offer. You better take it." And they really tried to trick me into it. They tried to get me to think I'd be doing it for the pedophiles or against the pedophiles or pedophiles, something with the pedophiles. You know, there's some sort of guilt trip that they threw at me. That's what I said yesterday. It's for the nurses, it's for the veterans, it's for the children, it's for the grandparents, it's for the it's always a for the somethings, you know? So she would go, pedophile, pedophile. And she keeps saying it like it would just trigger me into doing what she wanted. I want you to see how they work. They have their words and then they invest all of this emotion into them and then they just keep saying them like witches. And then you're supposed to go, oh, okay, I'll do anything because you've created these lose-lose scenarios for us. And that's the offer they made me. And ever since then, it's just been harassment, intimidation, people coming to my house, pot banging outside my house. I can track it all right back to that banker in England, the heir of the dynasty, which slowly murdered Napoleon. It's the same dynasty. It's very easy to track it back. We've done it through the Podesta emails. This lawsuit is ready to roll. If anybody wants to get real and sue this person, we have all the information. We can track it right back to him. It's the easiest thing in the world. Does anyone have courage? Does anyone want to do that? Do we want to have a real trial? Do we want to class action sue that banker who Podesta in his emails sends journalists there to his palace so they can find out about global warming? How much money does that story make him? Oh my goodness, am I riled up? So basically, if you're a lucky person, I guess, and you can go see concerts and travel and do the fun things in life, I would go to see Cohen. He's amazing. He's an amazing person. So elviscostello.com. This is the worst endorsement ever, but whatever. It's the worst time ever. This is completely unfair. I never thought I would be in a situation where I would be permanently quarantined once I got my health back. I got my health back. over the last 2 years, I got my health back. They killed my mother, and I got my health back, and now I'm permanently quarantined, and I can track it right back to that banker, and I've got it open and shut. Any real judge and any real jury would completely back me up. And I think everybody should be involved in this trial. It should be the biggest class action lawsuit where all of humanity gets together and freaking holds that banker accountable, okay, for what he's done. Can you imagine real justice in this world? All it takes is us uniting and getting serious about holding the biggest criminal on this planet responsible. Oh, but he's just a little nobody. He just wants to help us with our climate. How funny. Anyway, I sound very vengeful. Yesterday I was talking about how I have a black moon Lilith in the near the midheaven. And there's your vengefulness and your rage, which I do have. Sorry, but I'm very fed up, and I've put up with a lot, and I haven't been able to move forward because commerce has been cut down in my country, and culture's been cut down in my country. And for all these years, I've been going on and on about my celebrity photography stories. My point is not to insult anyone. It's to say this is what they're giving us as a culture, and it's fake. They're replacing real culture with like red carpets and Oscars, and that's not culture. Okay, it's this fake garbage that they're pushing on us. Again, I'm thinking of that line from The Other Side of Summer. They bury your dreams and they dig up the worthless. That's what they do. They're digging up this red carpet nonsense, and then they're burying real work, like my work, like Cohen's work. He has been fighting them his whole career. I was saying on the blog today, I had a very culturally impoverished youth compared to what he had, because his music was so interesting. And by the time I came along, and I was a young person in the 80s on Long Island, the music was nothing that interested me. I would turn the TV on because where else would I get my information from? And it would be this ghastly 80s garbage. I hated it. I knew it was terrible. You know, my friends would be like, "Oh, that's a good song." I'd be like, "It's terrible. Don't you know?" I was always like this. I can't help it, but it was a culturally impoverished time. And Cohen was doing fantastic work. It probably would have really depressed me if I was listening to King of America and Punch the Clock. And oh my goodness, I don't know, maybe it's for the best. But anyway, he was making incredible, incredible music in the 80s. And I didn't even barely know anything, but every day I write the book. My point is I don't want to. I don't want to get people jealous of him or anything, but I just think he's incredible, and I think he's the best musician, and I should have been hearing about him more. So it just shows you that the whole thing is rigged. I don't know what's been going on with him and them and England and all these things. I have no idea. But nonetheless, I know he's been held back, and I know I only found out about him because they joined a CD club or something in the 90s, and I had to like pick more CDs for the month or something. I was like, "Oh, right, him," you know? And I remember I got that CD, The Very Best of Elvis Costello, and I was like, "This music's great. What's going on? I can't believe this. Where has this been?" I was like outraged. It was kind of like my Napoleon experience, where I realized, oh, they've been lying to me about Napoleon. But I guess I also felt like they'd been hiding him from me. So my Napoleon Cohen, Elvis Costello awakening very much happened in parallel at the same time. I knew they were holding him back because it's incredible. The Very Best of Elvis Costello. It's just one incredible, great song after another. It's incredible. And you're like, oh, come on, what's going on? So I'm just saying culture really is being manipulated, and it's being done for a certain reason. I have like a million tangents I'm not going into right now. So let's just leave it there. It is absolutely 100% amoral to uphold rules, maintaining quarantine for healthy people perpetually. That is a violation of the Nuremberg Code completely. And everyone who is doing that is way outside the law. They're behaving in a cruel, in an inhumane manner towards people who have the right to live, have the right to participate in society. This is not about health. Of course, it's not about health. This is about games and killing people and playing tricks and getting us to fight. Of course, this is not about health. How did I get my health back in the last 2 years? Because I really focused on astrology and energy, and I worked with oils and I tried different things. That's how I got my health back, not by going to some institution and having them force some kind of serum on me that I don't know where it's from. And actually, I do know where it's from. And of course, I'm not going to put something like that in my body. From the bankers? Can you imagine? I know very well what they're after. And then they come up with these stories and then they push products on us. And unbelievable. This is unbelievable. And everyone upholding it is asking to put themselves in the same exact position as Adolf Eichmann. He followed the rules, he was captured, and he was executed. So think about that. This banker in England has his very own fiefdom. He won himself his own country by telling a lot of lies in definitely World War II. Okay. That whole thing is a racket. Okay. But he got his own fiefdom. That's how he gets his way, with these lies and his money and his wars. Okay. So they maneuvered Adolf Eichmann into becoming a killer for the state. He was following the law and he was killing people all day for the state, following the rules. And then what happened? World War II ended and he ran off. And then the fiefdom that banker won all for himself went, it captured him, captured Adolf Eichmann. Okay, so think about that. So when Rico Puppet Master needs someone for one of his stories, he can just go capture people and execute them for following the rules of the group that hijacked his country. The government of Germany had been hijacked by villainous bankers. How do I know? Because Prescott Bush officially funded the Nazis, and the Nazis were a fake populist movement. How do I know they're a fake populist movement? Because they're funded by a banker or a congressman or some big shot in the United States. That shows you it's a fake populist movement. Real populist movements are not funded officially by Prescott Bush, but who really did fund it? It's very obvious who really funded it. Okay, so these are all games and tricks. These lies need to come down. It's time to come clean. Okay, because keeping a certain portion of the planet under permanent quarantine because, you know, they cannot force us to take injections. This is crazy. And we know where it's coming from. It's coming from people who are into genocide. How on earth can someone like me that knows that they're out for genocide see Agenda 21, see the Podesta emails, see the Franklin cover up, see Inventing the AIDS Virus by Peter Duesberg, see By Way of Deception by Victor Strasky, see Clinton Cash. This is how it is. This is a very predatory plan to kill us. Anyway. So I'm just going to keep fighting. I hope you will keep fighting as hard as you can and understand that following the rules, if Rico Puppet Master stays in power, he can go capture any one of you and then put you on trial because, well, you did violate the Nuremberg Code, right? You are guilty. Oh, but you followed the rules. Well, the precedent is established that doesn't matter. Adolf Eichmann, the precedent is established. Any of you can be executed for what you're doing because the precedent is established. It has been it's been shown that if someone does not embrace heroism and break the rules, if they're amoral, that Rico Puppet Master can come and capture that person and murder him through his fiefdom. That's what happened. That's the law. Okay. So following the rules is very, 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 very dangerous as long as Rico Puppet Master stays in charge, because he puts people up to horrific crimes against humanity. And then if it suits him, he kills them for following the rules, because these are massive crimes against humanity. The lawsuits, oh my goodness, there's so many. I have so many lawsuits, it's unbelievable. I don't even know where to send them, except who knows, I could get a secret society judge, or I could probably come out of there owing I'd probably end up owing him $20 million by the time they were done with me, because I have no reasonable expectation of a fair trial. So that's the situation. So we have to do it spiritually. We have to align with God. We have to find out what our paths are and do them, because we can't live like this. We really have no choice. I hate to say it, but I have no choice. I'm distressed and frustrated, and I'm just going to spend this time that I'm trapped by a lie by a banker in England. Wow. Never thought I'd be trapped by a lie from a banker in England, but that's a situation I'm in. And a lot of us are in this situation. So we have every interest in fighting as hard as we can, day and night. And we are strong. We do have good spirits, and there is hope, and we can unite. Absolutely. This banker is not a strong person, and he has no morals. And he can't answer a question. I've seen him. He'll just go, "Oh, piddly tosh, oh, piddly tosh." That's his answer. He has no answers. Piddly tosh. That's what he'll say if you ask him anything. We need some real answers. Piddly tosh isn't going to cut it. That's what I think, but we'll see. We'll see. It's a battle of the wills. It really is a battle of the wills. And there's just so many more of us, and we have a lot of heart, and we have a lot to fight for. We're fighting for our souls, and we're fighting to not get dragged into the abyss by this cult. I don't want anything to do with this cult. And the people who are in that cult, I hope you guys will want to join us, because I have done everything within my ability to take what is good about your cult and what is true about your cult, and there are many things, and I have done everything within my ability to not make this a witch hunt and to not make this divisive. And I hope everybody can appreciate that I have done my best to fight this in the best way I could. Okay, I did break a lot of eggs, but it's ultimately about getting to the next level and uniting and living and being happy and moving past this nightmare. I know that we all got caught up in it. There's a way out, and we should respect each other, and we should try to understand each other's differences, because the more that I know, I've never met Cohen, but I feel obviously like I know him very well. And just understanding his perspective means everything to me. I want to know his perspective. He's in a very, 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 very difficult position, and I know he's not the only one. So it's never about judging and hurting people. It's about, look, this is how it is, and we need to move on, and we have to get real, and we need to come clean, and we can't continue like this. It's just not possible. Listen to Van Morrison. He's so expressing how people feel, and I hope I am too. We can't live like this. And I mean, just right, it's always for somebody or for, their tricks, right? Do it for Van Morrison. He deserves better. I mean, do it for anybody. Just do it. Okay. But really, Van Morrison has been a treasure to all of us. I love his music, and I just can't stand seeing him so sad. I can't stand it. And I know people can't stand seeing me so sad. And I can't stand seeing other people so sad. So we have to save each other, because seeing us this miserable, it's hurting us. And we don't have to be this miserable. We can stand up and we can fight back. It's just, it's an heir to a dynasty. And it's it's a dark occult dynasty, and they have relations with very dark spirits. And look, the dark part of life is a part of life. I'm not going to. I understand that we have to integrate light and dark and its polarities. I'm not going to say it's always bad. Everything, everything that's bad isn't always bad. It does have its place, and that's why astrology is so incredible. So so that is a gift that we have gotten from them. Clearly, they believe in astrology, and I've benefited so much from that knowledge. So we really can come together. But the crime needs to be dialed way back. And no, there cannot be Nuremberg Code violations against most of the planet like this. You cannot permanently quarantine the healthy because there's a lie and the fun things we're contagious for, and we can't travel because no, absolutely not. This is unbelievable. How did it get this? Oh my goodness, now I'm yelling. Anyways, now I stop. When I yell or cry, we change. We change, okay? I started to yell. I'm so sorry. Anyway, so I'm going to reference the astrology report today and let you know that today is the day that Mercury turns direct. So this should be a little bit of a weird time for communication and thinking and short trips, correspondence, things like that, because this is what I hear because I am new to astrology and I'm trying to learn it, and we're all learning it together, hopefully. Anyway, so my point is that now Mercury is finally direct again, but it doesn't mean we're out of the Mercury retrograde danger zone. I didn't experience it too much. My technology is usually a little problematic, so maybe it was a little worse. Anyway, so supposedly we're in the shadow period until it goes back to where it was. I'm not going to go into all this, but Mercury's going to be on its way to moving forward. So the whole idea here is in a couple days when it gets back to where it was in Taurus, it was a Gemini, went back to Taurus, it's gonna go back to Gemini. So once it goes back to Gemini, it's gonna move forward. Hopefully we can start marching forward and start doing new things, and we won't be stuck because this Mercury retrograde period, we did reflect on me, reflect on where we've been. I know we did that on the stream, and we did try to use that energy to learn and change. And hopefully when Mercury goes direct and it's out of the shadow period and it's back in Gemini, think about that. Mercury rules Gemini. So it's going to be a great time for us to move forward in the field of media and communications, a great time to have a new way of thinking, hopefully to move forward and start new projects and start new businesses and find a way to take our lives back. We cannot live like captive slaves on a prison planet. I hate to use the Alex Jones term, but prison planet, that's Alex Jones. Why are we living on a prison planet? Why do they have look, everybody knows that I don't think Alex Jones is legit. Whoa. Not even close. So think about that. I can't prove it. Can I prove it? It's so obvious. All right. What am I going to do with this? I can't go around accusing Alex Jones of things right now. Anyway, so just that he's been calling that show Prison Planet. The shoe fits. Why do we live in a prison planet? All right, I'm going to drop that. Alex Jones, if he's watching, not watching, whatever, he's very entertaining. He is very funny. He's very talented. I do admire some of the people on the other side when I see how charismatic and talented they are. But oh, come on, don't fight for them. Fight for us. You know, like the talented ones. I want you guys. I'm a fan of some of you guys. That's the worst part. Some of you, in spite of myself, I like some of you. Tanim Roger Stone comes to mind. Some about him. I love the costume. No, don't. I can't believe I said I kind of like Roger Stone. But I do. Roger Stone. I love the costumes. I think your character. This is so embarrassing for me. I have to admit. He's just got something crazy quality to him that the Nixon stuff. It just makes me laugh. And Anyways, I am actually a fan of some of you guys. That's the worst part. Okay, but let's fight for the right side. If Roger Stone is has that much coolness that I can, in spite of myself, admire him, there's more good to be seen, I hope. Join us then. Please join the good guys. It's being a supervillain is great, but the other side's interesting as well. We have our moments. I think so. Anyway, so I wrote all over today's astrology report. I put up the chart of the day, and then I write out what that energy can be used for, something that I want to see it used for. So we have all kinds of transits for transforming institutions, and we can do that. It starts with us. I don't want to be too like rah 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 positive, but there is hope. I'm still here. I'm still here. Cohen's still touring. It's hopefully my people, come on. Anyway, so I really want to do something productive with this time. The great thing about captivity is that we can learn, we can study, we can concentrate on things. I'm practicing guitar a lot because I am in captivity, and that's such a gift to. I can't have to say again what the audiobook that Cohen did, how to play guitar and why. I just what that means to me, and it literally makes me cry like every single other thing. How touching that is to me. I can't even tell you so many things. But basically he made a philosophy comedy tutorial on how to play guitar, and that's really what I wanted, and I couldn't move forward without that information. And it's such a gift that he's giving to all of us persecuted people. He knows this is all BS. Of course he knows. They know it's BS. You know what I'm saying? It's what? No, they know it's BS. So anyway, that was a real gift that he gave me and everyone. So I recommend it very highly. It's exactly what I needed, and I am moving much further in guitar than I was, and I would have gotten stuck on that chord of F. it, I just tried to learn that one song. I don't think it had F in it. I knew I couldn't play the F chord, so I did avoid it. I knew to avoid it. I found a song without an F in it, and I learned it, and then I was guided to quit. But I feel like I can go a lot further now. So I went very much into detail in Cohen's chart because I my point was that since we're in captivity, we might as well study and find ways to capture energy, release energy, find ways to not let it get the better of us. For example, what the banker in England is doing for us is he's creating a lot of tension and hurt and pain and anger and distress, and he's breaking a lot of hearts, and he's ruining a lot of lives, and he is creating all these various situations to keep me away from my twin flame. All of this pain that he's causing and all of this cruel genocidal behavior that he directs towards the population, you have to wonder about the Buddhist concept of karma. How could one person and his oligarchy and his secret society spy system under him, how could one group be that aggressive towards a helpless population? How could someone sleep at night, look themselves in the mirror? How is it possible to be that cruel? It's unimaginable to the rest of us, which is why it's so hard for us to see what we're dealing with. And then there's the Buddhist concept that the person is actually punished by their crime. Okay, so there's the idea that they commit the crime and then it comes back to them. And then there's the idea that committing the crime is the punishment because they have to live with themselves. Can you imagine? And from what I know about this group, they hide from their spouses what they are. They're under very, very deep cover. Their own children don't even know what they are. Think about that. That's how undercover they are. I know this because of the dusty emails, and I know it from other things. I know how deep undercover they are. Like uh, their own mechanic or maid or wife doesn't even know what they are. They're pretending to be philanthropists. Think about that. Can you imagine living like that? You were hiding yourself even from your spouse. I'm pretty sure they're like that. So that's what they get in return for all their crimes. They have to watch every word they say. They have to hide who they are, even from their spouses. The more you get into it, you realize they're undercover to that degree. Their own family doesn't know. They're like spies in a way because they can't get caught. So they have to be very, 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 very careful that no one finds out what they are. So their spouse can't even know. That's how it works. See? So when we completely rip their masks off, completely expose them, completely show that climate change is coming from that banker's palace, this is every single thing that they can't have happen. That's how undercover they are. That's how terrifying it is that we'll find out who the criminals are. So they are punished by their own crimes because their own lifestyle is infernal. Can you imagine? You have to hide who you are. That's what we see with Napoleon's second wife, Marie Louise. Her whole life is keeping up an act for Napoleon to pretend that she loves him, and she can't always keep the act up. That's how these people live. They're acting 24 hours a day. That's horrible. What an inauthentic way to live. And then you wonder why some people just are so unnatural and everything they do is so creepy. It's because they're acting 24 hours a day. What a tangent. Anyway, I obviously have a lot of thoughts about this stuff because I've been fighting these criminals for in various ways for quite some time. Anyway, so I want to go really deep into Cohen's chart so I can understand what's going on with him. I am curious. I do know a lot of his music. I do know a lot about him. So it's a really good chart for me to study. Also, I would like to, if I ever do meet him, I don't want to get him angry or anything. I'm sorry for whatever I did. I really am. I would take it back if I could, but anyway. So the point is that I took a good look at some aspects. I just spent like 2 hours looking at this today. So if we look at Cohen's chart on the astrology report, we can see that everything is pointing to this total musician conjunct alignment between Venus and Neptune in Libra. You can't think of anything more musician or enchanter or a twin flame, definitely like the perfect ideal love. He's got that. Everything's pointing to that. Just like in my chart, everything's pointing to Saturn in the third house in Cancer. And I was thinking that could even be him because everything in my chart is pointing to Saturn in the third house in Cancer. And Saturn in the third house could be him because Saturn, well, I mean, he's 20 years older than I am, 19 years older than I am. He's older than me. He's Napoleon. Napoleon was my father. He was stepfather. And it's really wild. This is so, I can't believe this is all happening. Anyway, so there it is. Saturn, okay? Their father, Saturn, older Saturn. So and it's trine that sun in the 7th house in Scorpio conjunct Mercury. See, so there's Mercury twice. I know it's so hard to follow this, but I'll try to explain it well because it is very relevant. Basically, in my house of partnership, in the 7th house, which is ruled by Libra, I have the sun aligned with Mercury. So that is implying that there's a real big shot involved in media who's my partner or my enemy. Okay, my enemy is this banker. He's a big shot in media. He owns the media. He's a real big shot in media. And this is happening in the constellation of Scorpio. Well, my enemy is a big secret. See, Scorpio's secrets can be dark spirituality. Well, oh, he's about as dark spirituality as you can get. Okay, so there you go. He's a Scorpio. And my partner, oh my goodness, Scorpionic, ridiculous. Very Pluto conjunct Sun. That's like, I think more Scorpio is if you have Pluto conjunct your Sun, you're gonna be like super ultra Scorpio. I think. So there you go. And then there's a trine, an easy aspect to that Saturn in the third house in Cancer. See? So it's saying that there's a harmonious aspect between that big shot in the seventh house in Scorpio to this Saturn in the third house in Cancer. Okay. Saturn death cult. That's the Saturn death cult. That's what my enemy runs. Okay, the Saturn death cult. Why do I call it the Saturn death cult? Because they kill for power, and Saturn's a very important planet to them. They put it on a lot of things. So they're banking and their authority, and they've bought the governments. I mean, you can't get more Saturn than my enemies. Okay, and he owns the media. It's in the third house. That's a place of media. And then it's in Cancer. Well, if you apply it to Cohen, Cancer, he's so emotional. He's so nostalgic. He's from my past life, my family. There's the Cancer. And then the banker, he has hijacked my country. That's Cancer. That's my origins. That's where I'm from. It's my homeland. He has hijacked it. So both apply. It's wild. It's really, really wild. So I thought that was really interesting, that the whole thing could be pointing. It's to Cohen and my banker enemy. It's really interesting, but it's a pattern that plays over and over and over again. Like, it can be me, because I'm Saturn. I'm the hard worker in the third house. I work in communications, and I'm always talking about history in my past life. See, so it's a pattern. It's not a comfortable pattern. It's a stressful thing to have Saturn in Cancer in the third house. It's like repressing your communication. I'm blacklisted, and it's uncomfortable because it's such a hard, ambitious, fierce energy in such a soft, loving, emotional place like Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. It's not going to be comfortable. I don't know how my life could ever be anything other than difficult, but I think the whole point is, like, the difficulty creates power. And that's what I was saying. My enemy is creating all of this difficulty for us, but all of that difficulty is actually generating a lot of power for us, because we can motivate people better now. Oh my goodness. 5-6 years ago, I'm like, oh, I have it turn the TV off or so. I mean, I try not to be like that, but I'm doing this because I want people to turn the television off. I do every single thing I possibly can every day of this project to give people reasons to turn their TV off, because that's my enemy. That's who I'm fighting against. And as long as people have their paycheck and their leased car, and they have their roof over their head, they don't care. Oh my goodness, they do not care. They don't want to hear it. They're like, they don't want to hear it. So when my banker enemy decided to become so incredibly in your face aggressive, yes, it's terrible, it's horrible, but I thought, oh, at least some people are going to feel more motivated. That's how problems work. They motivate us. They make us do things that we wouldn't do otherwise. So problems are a good thing in a sense if you can use them and channel them well, and then learn from them. And it's a real art. But then there really is such thing as too many problems. They're giving us too many problems. I can't stand how they're hurting people. I can't stand what they're doing to children in the next generation. How are we going to help these children not be terrified? They've been so traumatized by these horrible stories. It breaks my heart to see what's been done to traumatize children over the last few years. This is like MK Ultra. This is on purpose. This is to weaken us. They're trying to get rid of us, and they're like exterminating us, and they're like beating us down. They can't do this. Anyway, I'm not even getting to this chart that I'm trying to get to. My point is that everything in Cohen's chart points to Neptune and Venus. You can look at the chart yourself. It's not complete. I don't have the birth time. There's no houses, but this is perfectly accurate. Okay? This is definitely correct. So we can study this. And why it's so interesting is we have all of Cohen's music to look at. We have his memoirs to look at. We have all of this information about him that's firsthand source materials. We know who this person is, and we can really look at this chart and then hopefully find out what's going on with his patterns, because anyone listening to his music can hear the themes in them. Okay? It's a woman, and she's some kind of handler, and then she breaks his heart, and then he's really upset about it until the next one. That's a pattern, and it's throughout. She's really beautiful and she's incredible, but she's a handler. How many times did this happen? Oh my goodness. Anyway, that's Napoleon. It's Napoleon too, though. Anyway, Napoleon cannot be alone. Cohen cannot be alone. I know this. I understand. It's he and I are a little different. I can handle being alone better than he can. We really are two people who are twin flames, and we know each other very well, and we've known each other forever, even though we've never met. I'm glad I can talk about this experience because it is so bizarre and absurd. But boy, it's happening. That's for sure. So I've been talking to Napoleon as a ghost for years, and I've been hammering out Napoleon's patterns with women. This is our big grievance between me and Napoleon is women, and I would never in a million zillion years imagine that I'd be thrown into this situation with Napoleon 2.0. Oh my goodness, makes Napoleon look like Anyway, so we can see all this because he has Venus in Libra. This is someone who's really thinking about love a lot, and he's very dreamy. He doesn't always see what she is. He deludes himself about her because he is so wanting love. This is Napoleon and Cohen. And if you look at this, there is a difficult, painful aspect with Chiron. Okay, what is Chiron? Oh my goodness, I've been trying to get a handle on this Chiron idea for years. Okay, so Chiron, the story is it's a centaur, and he can't heal himself, but he wants to heal others, and he even volunteers to be eternally tortured, taking Prometheus's place, and then Zeus feels bad and makes Chiron into the constellation Sagittarius. I read that a couple times today. So that was the sense of the story of Chiron. What is Chiron? Chiron is some kind of asteroid with a very eccentric orbit. Goes from Saturn to Uranus. Okay, fine. So they discovered this in 1977, and the astrologers study it, and they study the patterns, and they try to find out how this represents itself, this Chiron energy in people's charts. So you have to study people and their charts. There is a science to this, and it is based on figuring out how these things manifest in people's lives. And that's what we're doing at the novice level. But we are studying real, accurate charts, and we have the documentation to determine whether these things truly happen. So this is I think, a very serious astrology study. I know it's like this flaky subject, but we're not approaching it in anything other than black and white. This is his life. This is who he is. There's no question. I don't find him to be that deceptive. I mean, there's some for sure, but he does, I think, try to be honest as much as he can. I hope so. But, he's in a difficult situation, really difficult. But nonetheless, we do know a lot about him, and he is, I will say, mostly honest, at least we can say that. So we do know about him. So he has a very difficult aspect that we're looking at today with this Neptune and Venus in Libra. Okay, so there's your enchanting artist, there's your rock star that women want like crazy. He's so attractive, he's so charismatic, he's a rock star. I mean, that's Neptune. Neptune is music and just being really enchanting, and he's a sorcerer to the bone. I don't know if he can even help it. Napoleon was too. It's the charisma and the powerful magnetism. They know it. They know what they have. And it's right there. And Napoleon had Mars conjunct Neptune. So he also had that enchanting Neptune quality to him. They both have this incredible charisma. And that can be Venus and Neptune, obviously. But there's a difficult aspect with Chiron, and Chiron is that it's gonna hurt. It's wounds. It's the wounds, and his is a Chiron retrograde, and mine's Chiron retrograde too. We both have a lot of wounds from the past. It could be past lives. It could be childhood. Napoleon was tortured for years by that dynasty that owns England, and the wounds of that, I don't know how do you ever get over that? I have wounds from past lives that I still struggle with. I could go into it, but you are still wounded by these terrible things that happen. I know, like, this life's not bad enough, but nonetheless, he has a terrible wound from that. He is Napoleon. It's hard to deny. I just can't really deny it anymore. Like, I want to keep fighting it for some reason, but I'm gonna have to accept it finally. So I can't believe the way I am. Anyway, I have to constantly be proved. Like, I need constant proof. So constantly, I have to constantly have everything proven. But thankfully, the truth does constantly prove itself to you, because I hate being wrong. But anyway, so he has these wounds. I can't believe how I'm being. Anyway, the point is, Chiron is this wounded energy. But the wonderful thing about Chiron is, if you're wounded enough, you have a lot of sympathy for others. And I know he has a lot of sympathy for people, because that does come from being so sad. Like, you relate to other people who are so sad. And that's a good thing about Chiron energy. And Chiron energy is very similar to Pisces energy. See, so he's a difficult aspect between Neptune and Chiron. And they're both very similar, kind of caring, sensitive, helpful, benevolent, philanthropic energy. And Chiron is in Capricorn, which, again, we're back to the Saturn establishment and this carapace, this horrible situation he's in, this fascist system that he's a part of. And it hurts him so much to be a part of it. And he wants to do good. And that's the one thing he can't do. He can do every terrible thing he wants, but he can't be good. That's the one thing forbidden to him. That's the craziness of a dynasty we're under. Everything's allowed but honesty. This is unacceptable. He wants to be good. Oh my goodness. Why is that a problem? Oh, I am ranting so much tonight. Anyway, I'm going to have to wrap this up. The point is that if, so help me, I'm right, that he's this wounded person in this Saturn death cult atmosphere, which he has been, and he has a difficult aspect to Neptune in Libra. That's a very caring, kind, easygoing, wonderful person. Okay. Neptune in Libra is a kind and charming person. Okay. So this is a lovely person who's very sensitive, having a difficult problem with wounds in Capricorn. So he's suffering from being a sensitive person in that atmosphere. And because it's causing him so much tension and stress, basically, as a sensitive, kind person in a dark occult establishment nightmare, he had to deal with it in some way. And what was around him, substances and handlers, beautiful girls and substances. But he had this horrible feeling of sensitivity and sadness from being in such a dark atmosphere. And that's what they threw at him. They threw these beautiful handler girls and all of these substances. And he had to do something because the tension was so great as a sensitive person in that dark occult environment. I'm giving my interpretation based on what I'm seeing in the chart, and the solution is philanthropy, and I'm sure he knows that. There's so much tension in this aspect between Neptune and Chiron. There's so much pain and hurt just because that aspect's hurting him. It's painful. It's just a painful thing. So he has to do a manual override on it, and he has to somehow react to that pain. And he had all of these vices thrown at him on purpose. It's always on purpose. It's to weaken. We're being weakened with this stuff, okay? That's why everything's allowed but honesty. Everything's allowed but being good, because that empowers us. But drugs and handler girls, oh my goodness, that's their favorite thing. So I mean, I get it. The talented people are isolated, and then their realities are destroyed, and then their relationships are systematically destroyed, and then all these handler girls get thrown at them. Okay? I get it, It had to go somewhere. Anyway, so it has to be directed somewhere in a powerful way, or it's going to become very self-destructive. It's going to turn into substances and addictions. I just think it's so interesting. It's right there. I mean, you could just listen to the songs, and that's what he's saying. He's saying, I'm in a spiral. I'm in a really bad spiral. It's 40 years of songs of him saying, I'm in a really bad spiral. Save me, please. I hear you. 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 I totally get it. I do get it. If we can resolve our problems, and if we can direct our painful energies more productively, we could do a lot of good. That's the benefit of having so much conflict and difficulty in one's chart. That can be turned into great power. And because these energies are so focused in Capricorn, that implies that that's the plan. Yeah. We'll continue to go through this. All right. Anyway, so let's look at a letter by Napoleon to Josephine. This one's super short. It's just interesting because Napoleon is fighting the combined forces of all the bought armies of this dynasty in England. And he's so smart and he's so incredible that he's beating all of them. And he's just taking over Italy. And they can't believe it. They're all cursing in German because it's the Austrians. Sometimes I think they're Italian, some of them. All these people cursing in German. What is this guy doing? Who is this guy? He's just blowing everybody away. And that's another reason why Napoleon and Cohen are the same person. They just blow people away. People are like, who is that? What is that? What are they? That's not everybody. That's the two of them. Anyway, so just to see how he writes to his wife while he's single-handedly with his army taking over Italy, it's really funny. I have not received any news from you, and I doubt that you love me anymore. I have sent you journals and a number of letters. I leave at once to go over the mountains. The moment the situation stabilizes itself, I propose to have you with me. It is the dearest vow of my heart. 1,000 kisses, Bonaparte. All right. Well, you'd never expect the guy taking over Italy to be like that. Okay. He wants his wife who does not love him. Okay. Pathetic. All right. That's Napoleon. Okay. He's not going to behave the way you think he's going. He's very unpredictable. That is for sure. I've been surprised quite a bit. He is so amazing. Anyway, let's continue. So we're reading Cohen's incredible memoirs, finding out everything about him. Not really. We're finding out a few select things that he's willing to tell us, basically. But very interesting stuff and well written and very funny. So let's continue. My mother was by then working part-time at Potter's Music Shop at the foot of Richmond Hill. The owner, Jerry Southard, was a hulking, bearded man who gave the impression of being hard to impress, but who stocked records that couldn't be found elsewhere, whether they were jazz, blues, folk ballads, or classical recordings. Naturally, musicians gravitated to the shop. One afternoon, I saw Peter Green among the blues albums, looking like a hippie Jesus in a rugby shirt. Another day, I arrived to hear that nearby resident Mick Jagger had just left the premises, and the girls in the shop were all a quiver. Potters did a steady trade in hit parade singles, sheet music, and guitar instruction manuals, along with strings, plectrums, harmonicas, and a few instruments that hung in the window among LP sleeves that were suspended with twine. That's where I spent my pocket money on the chart records that my dad didn't bring home to learn. It's where I slapped down a record token that I'd been given for Christmas to get the Beatles' #1 EP with I Saw Her Standing There, Misery, and Arthur Alexander's Anna, Go to Him. Over the first 10 years that we lived in that neighborhood, that magnificent cave matched and satisfied my curiosities. In the summer before I turned 14, I got a Saturday job in a local greengrocer's shop. I learned how to judge fruit and vegetables, but to always show them mercy, how to guess at the approximate weight of a handful by sight, how to judge the freshness of fruit by the sheen of the skin, and how to tote up a column of numbers in my head and give the correct change. There was a strangeness to now commonplace produce like avocado, pears, which people returned in disgust, complaining that they were not sweet. I also learned how to pick out a few choice tomatoes for an old lady who could not afford more than a few. At 5:15, when the crates of perishable goods from the pavement display had been stacked in a cool storeroom, I sprinted over Richmond Bridge to hand over my modest pay at the counter of Potter's Music. Working class hero. Anyway, thank you for listening. Have a nice evening.